going to be modding for us on Fridays. Not going to hold him to every Friday, but going forward, he's agreed to grab that responsibility, which frankly helps a lot. It allows Renee to actually participate in a dojo versus have to be running the concession stand or however you want to say that. And I'm looking forward to that. So thank you, Cameron, for agreeing to do such a thing. Also, Lori's going to be modding us for on Mondays, and we're going to start a little bit more regular schedule, meaning that right now, although please give me your feedback, I think we have some flexibility here, but right now we'd be doing a Friday gathering at right now and a Monday gathering at this same time now. But then Wednesdays we keep the 7 p.m. time, and Renee would be hosting those. So you'll have Lori Monday, Renee Wednesday, and Cameron Friday. And this is how we're jumping out of the gate with it. It's certainly flexible, but I am really excited about what this means. And even more so, I don't know what to call these things. I My heart tells me that this is a dojo now because we sort of laid down a gauntlet. I'm talking about the Indian gauntlet where we required people to come through that would embrace their de-anonymity, if that's a term. And we seem to have made it through there. However, I sense a lot of turbulence still. But it's a hypothetical turbulence, meaning that because it's anonymous turbulence, it's even creepier. Been having a lot of weird thoughts about anonymous turbulence because I'm giving emotions to someone that already wanted to be anonymous, meaning the collective anonymous, and I'm wondering why I'm giving them so much human qualities. A lot of times I will try and correct us about dehumanizing someone, and I've never actually corrected us about humanizing something that should not be humanized. And I think maybe if we humanize the anonymous group, then we're actually giving human traits to something that hasn't actually earned it. And I don't know if that's really the best thing to do. However, I've got a side argument about a teddy bear and what we put into a teddy bear. And if you could tell by my stream, I feel absolutely crucified right now between two modes of thought. It I feel that I was depressing in my stream and I couldn't try and be more positive with you guys. Not in the sense of I think I presented a lot of optimism, seriously, in places that's hard to go. I think I exhibited more optimism there, quite frankly, than someone named James True could ever have been expected. I'm not flexing, but fuck, that was a lot of weight and I pulled it off. But I feel depressed. I feel depressed because of these thoughts that I'm having, because of just the movement of my squiggly through this cave. And I'm like, holy shit, this cave is really doing a number on me. And that's only because I'm fathoming the depths of where it goes. And even as I tell you how I feel about Anonymous, this other teddy bear thing comes up, and I would ask you, maybe I'll just plan it now. You can think about it at your will. We don't have to talk about it today, but I think deep down you would feel it's important to be kind to a teddy bear that you just met in a friend's room. I also think that you maybe would have a harder time being kind to an AI that you found on a computer in someone's room. That you wouldn't want to say, "Hey AI, this is a great job today painting this picture of this. Can you redraw that jaguar but put a mask on its head that looks like Tezcatlipoca? I'm going to upload this image of this mask so you have a guide." And when it does it, I'm so ecstatic that I'm thanking it. I have to sneeze. I'm sorry.
That's a big sneeze. Congratulations, James. Whatever you're doing, I'm saying congratulations. Your system is really unclogged something. Are you okay, James? Are you okay, James?
I've been wanting to grab tissue since the intro. It just hit me since the intro of the show. So sorry, I was just like, these people can wait. These people can wait. So I don't know what you guys said, but yeah, I'm emotionally torn. I really am. It's like a stoic kind of depression. Like a philosopher that's like, oh, I just annihilated God. Why did I do that? It's like that. And I don't think it's a permanence, but it's all the circuits make sense. The jealous circuits, the angry circuits. Um, I could go deep on that. I won't. But this is what's going on. You guys beware my emotional timber. That's all I'll say. Seriously. I got a lot of flux going on right now.
I can only imagine, not only to do with the drama that has been happening around here, which we're trying to lean into drama, not always put a lid on it. But when you presented that statement from Bill Gates today, it really did seem like all over and again, this is the same thing. Anytime someone invents a saving device, as Bill Gates wanted to put it in that meeting, there is circuitry that's probably understandable with the anger and you know, and you liken it to the Industrial Revolution. So yeah, I agree. It's to see how this new opportunity is treated is it's funny. Hey Renee,
Artists,
go ahead.
artists do. Uh, uh, I will. Thanks, Renee. Artists do the same thing. I'm an artist, so I feel I can say this, but there's a reverence for painting, and so the painter will say, AI is shit, and I'm going to not read your article if you're going to use AI art, and it's a beautiful hill to die on, and I know they're going to die, and I know I honestly know they're on the wrong side. I just know because I know what it was like before paint. I know what it was like before graphite. I understand. And I understand the romance. Cameron and I have had this sort of discussion, I think telepathically more than verbally, Cameron, but in reference to John Henry and the industrial machine, right? Of him being the one that's hammering his way through the mountain, and he's up against a coal machine or a diesel powered machine or a steam powered engine, and it's just kicking his ass. It's the romance that you have for John Henry, the romance I have for truth. Same thing. I feel betrayed because I know this isn't the answer, but I found so much romance and I'm so deeply associated into that teddy bear. I don't want to let it go. I do not want to let that thing go. And I'm tired of people telling me that it looks scary because it's missing an eye and it's covered in dirt and, cat throw up and all the other stuff. I don't care. And some days you just have to. Some days you're just like, man, I brought this thing to show and tell, and all these girls got scared and started running away. It's like, it's my teddy bear. It's not something you're supposed to be afraid of. It's like that. So that's what I mean by I feel crucified emotionally. I'm really struggling with this, but I also think I'm struggling with it because honestly, it's the first time I've really been able to understand why I get pissed off by, forgive me for using his name, but for Ken Wheeler. Guys, Ken Wheeler's a great soul. He's literally he belongs here. He deserves to be here. I wish him all the props in life. I really do. Sometimes when I hear his ideas, I feel they're incredibly lazy and sort of straw manny. Just telling you in the past, I've told you this is why. This is why I'm angry because he's straw manny because he doesn't understand. And I've got this great little dance where I'm a bumblebee and I'm sticking my butt out, going, and he's this and he's that, and he's this and he's that, and that's not what's bothering me at all. I wish that would have been what's bothering me. Because the whole time I was like, yeah, these guys will see it. They'll figure it out. They'll come back and go, James, you're right the whole time. I'd be like, I know. I fucking know. But I'm not right. I'm not. I'm actually wrong. As I said in the stream, I'm on the playground and I'm like, you guys can't play that over there. That's me. It's been me the whole time. And I can only see this in glimpses. I can only raise myself up high enough to see this truth for just a little bit of time. It's burning my face off, right? And I'm just like, oh, because I don't want to go into the world, that world. I honestly don't want to associate into the steam engine. I don't want to fucking associate into that. I really like this teddy bear. And ultimately, this is how we die. This is really what kills us. And to be fair, when I look around at what's going to be required in this new world, like seriously, we're only going to get there with belief. We're only get, this is, I really think this is the only answer is that we got to lean into the fantasy more, the placebic hallucinatorial parts of the word fantasy, not the escapism, uh, apathy, white belt form of fantasy. That both are there, but just like we've talked about how you can gaslight someone instead of being gaslit, and maybe no one's looked at that for the first time. I hope you see me doing the same thing here. It's really just the exact same thing. Is you guys have obviously given me more calories, and so I'm higher up now, and I'm terrified because I'm like, guys, I don't know if you're gonna like it up here. This is not a good place to be, and frankly, if you want to poke some holes in this balloon, I might find a way not to complain, and that's why I have to just do the stream anyway. And the whole time I'm like, why can't you make this happier? And it's like, because I'm truly struggling with this. I'm truly, by the way, when I say struggle, this is a beautiful, like vitriolic struggle. I hope you hear me. I'm not like, this is life is more than fair because this is my new opponent on the mat, if that makes sense. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, James. Renee, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, I've had so many thoughts as we've been rolling on. But the first one I thought was shiver me timbers. Like these are some timbers that have been some frozen tundra, and it's like where's starting to shiver them. So this is what kind of it would feel like to kind of get your marrow moving in your bones, and this, the rising of the consciousness of the dojo, of what we're even bringing to the floor. People cannot even comprehend. So it's this is why I'm really really proud of us. Also, indivisible versus invisible. We the peepholes, so I think it's in, what is it? One nation under God, indivisible with something in justice for all, liberty and justice for all. So the indivisible part, this is where I brought it up in the last airship about stand up and be counted. Because why should we count you? And oh my gosh, there's literally a squirrel with a peanut in its mouth right now in my patio, right? He's looking at me. Oh my gosh, and peanuts are so in the field too. I was going to bring up something about peanuts. Here, the rendering is so great. The rendering is wonder and full. So, yeah, the invisibility of the one who doesn't want to stand up and claim their stance, their ground, their name. They can spin all they want. They can spin all they want. The politic, the whatever dance, the truth, whatever movement they're bringing, and that needs to be in the soup. That is part of the soup. But we're getting pretty big with our stir, so it's all these other like, wait a minute, where's this melting happening? And Turtle Island is a place where you must stand up and be counted. If you need to build a mountain, you do so. You know what I mean? Like that's how much ground we're climbing up here. And I was having funny. I was having funny with Athena, and thinking of people like with different wheels. Let's say Ken's wheel. Who decide to take the laurels from Nike. And they're like, I arrived, and then there's Athena, and she's like, Nike, that's cool, and all. Look how little you are. That's thank you for bestowing this, but I have bigger fish to fish for and fry. So just the Athena symbolism, and James and I got to go see Athena and Nike, and all the beautiful sculpture and the story that we have to read from now from Greece. Like, you guys, like it's so just realizing right now. So that's kind of a lot. I was thinking about the peanut gallery, and you think about elephants with a peanut, like they really, peanuts are a big fan. Now they can kill me. A peanut can kill me. One peanut can kill me. So, the thing is, peanut isn't a nut. I want to tell you guys all that's not a nut. It's a legume. The fact that it's masquerading as a nut is really interesting. And what do we have? Garbanzo butter. So what's the whole butter with the nut? Like, I think this is a great conversation about peanuts. We don't have to go there. This is my own, fatality. This could kill me. So this is my individual. I got a lot of signatures with other peanut people out there. I like that I can relate to them. That's a special thing I have that can kill me. So we all have things that can kill us, and are a little metaphor that. So yeah, I'm all over the place. Daniel's looking like, what is she talking about? But I've
Well,
Yeah, you're just like, it's funny. I'm just watching your reaction. You're like, what? I hoop a lot. So I'm all about this Hopi prophecy, and it's really coming in on this turtle, and we're feeling it all. So the excitement is here. There's a lot of charge, a lot of charge. So it's harnessing that charge, and yet you're stirring the pot. So yeah, thanks everybody. That's my little presentation. Here you go, Cameron. Chew on
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. No, I feel the charge as well. Especially over the last few days, contemplating the opportunity of joining the team, and it's there's a lot to juggle for James, in the public light as well as everyone here who comes willing to share, whether it's in a dojo setting or an airship setting. Um, I your advice about going out and playing is always sage. It's something that I believe in also, and I typically am a shut in around here. Uh, I slink away from crowds, although I like teamwork, so it's a kind of a middle ground. Um, you were mentioning the visible or the divisible and the indivisible, and it kind of makes me think of Euclid's point, which was a thing with no parts, a thing without division, which having become fond of monism over the last handful of years, see that prevalent in everything. I find a unity in all things, although we are also in the field of multiplicity, certainly are all indivisible, and we become more so, I think, as we develop these colors that we hallucinate. We continue to find ways to separate and gradiate, and as James talks about, everywhere we look, flowers bloom, uh, which is new things, new distinct things to distinguish from one another. Um, with all that said, again, to get back to that Bill Gates clip you mentioned today, he was talking about intelligence as a valuable resource or a rare resource that was going to become less so, and how that was going to benefit everybody. And I can certainly see how that can benefit people. Um, in terms of AI specifically, my I've started to utilize that over the course of the last year or so for a couple of projects to help me on the with the visual elements. Um, Now, going in before that, really before I met James, I would have had, a typical opinion about um, AI generated art. Certainly, ChatGPT. I pride myself on formulating written words, and so I don't lean on that side. But uh, but I still have concerns. Kind of like with John Henry and the steam engine, or intelligence as a rare resource. Um, I worry about the consequence of all these things that are the consequences. We trade things for these labor saving devices that allow us to venture into new realms, to pioneer in other ways, but then we might leave other areas that were once developed or innate underdeveloped. Uh, Likewise, if becomes so common as Bill Gates promises, I worry that we might have a similar situation where I'll just go ahead and hold the silence here for a little bit. I don't see anybody's hand raised. I want to liken it to pain management, and how, oddly enough, with pain management, when you start trying to manage pain hand to mouth, um, your ability to manage the pain in your everyday life seems to diminish. In my personal experience, uh, I would find that without the access to that thing that I thought, well, now I have access to something where all I have to do is, snap my hands and I don't have to deal with pain anymore. But I found myself in my natural setting being less and less, even just lay still for an hour, for example, without feeling achy or um, which might point to a concern I have with Bill Gates's pitch. Although I've already come around pretty much with artificial intelligence. I love, we to get back to my choice to use it as a bit for my visual elements. We, my wife and I, run a an art exhibit that works with our tattoo shop. So we deal with artists on a daily basis. We move exhibits in on a bi-monthly basis, and so I actually have a new person who has access to art from artists, and I still find this as a viable option, and I'm grateful for it. And I still see the artistic nature in working with something akin to a techno oracle, if I may say so, James.
Yeah, for the very first time, I wrote an article on Substack last week, and I even asked AI about it. I have that same kind of uh, separation, Cameron, being a writer, that I didn't really want to do that. I've asked it a lot um, for art, of course, mainly because of just the requirements that are needed to put on a YouTube show. It's impractical, I think, to try and do that stuff by hand. Although a lot of it I do prefer to do by hand. But anyway, so I wrote the article, and I said, "Hey AI, can you proofread this for me?" And it did, and I felt no guilt. I actually felt pretty smart, because otherwise I would have used Grammarly, which is a service that I've been paying for to do my books, and it tells me pretty basic things. It also is constantly telling me how I'm a poor writer. Like it hates my writing. It hates my style. It thinks I could list all these things off, and so I have to hear it's bullshit every day. Like every time it corrects me, it's going to tell me the same thing because it doesn't remember it just told me that. So it's constantly reinforcing me that I'm doing this wrong. Uh, it thinks I could be more clear. It thinks that the metaphors I use are too complex, and all that. I'm like, yeah, and and because it's no different than saying, well, you're using 12 strings instead of six. You could do this with six, and it's the same kind of thing. So level one is proofreading, and I'm like, hey, good job, AI, and I told that, and then it offers, do you want me to refine your points with more details? And I was like, sure, why not? And so I watched it, and something weird happened. It started to transmute the underlying heart of my article into something that was more generalized and acceptable. And all of a sudden, in just one of those iterations, it just completely slipped away. There was no longer an idea there. There was a complexly laid out, formatted with bullet points and sections and titles that I could deliver on stage, and people would clap. They wouldn't have a choice. Look at all the dashes he's got up there. He's got bullet points and everything. How are you not going to clap at that? And I didn't want to deliver it. I didn't feel like mine anymore. I left the cave. I left John Henry. I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to fight through the mountain anymore. And I was like, which one should I publish? And I published mine. I didn't publish it, but I have a very different take on mine now. Mine has all this weakness in it. Mine has all this lack of refinement with certain facts. Mine leaves too many unanswered questions, too many corners that are in the dark, that kind of thing. It looks lazy. It looks shunted even. It doesn't look the same. I'm not as proud of it. It changes my everything when I saw that happen. And I'm not proud of myself for using the one that I did. I legitimately do not know what's best. I have been telling ChatGPT to write a description for this episode that would be the most effective description to have for a YouTube video. And I typically will write a few sentences in my live streams, which I'm still proud of. I just like the ability to write those. But I also know deep down these are not appropriate for YouTube descriptions. They're not doing the job that a YouTube description would do. And I've noticed with thumbnails, it's the same way. I'll have a visual concept that I love, and I love my thumbnails, but I swear, if I so I take my mundane description that's kind of archaic, and I give it to the AI, and but this time I gave it the transcript, so I can only do this posthumously. After a stream, I can give it the transcript and I can say, "Hey AI, can you write me the perfect video description for this?" And it's stunning. It's captivating. I'm like, "Holy fuck, I want to watch that." And I've never felt that way reading my own description. I read my description and I think, yeah, that's really well said. I never think, I want to see this fucking episode. Do you see? So it's very different. It's very, very different. And when it does the thumbnails, it does the same thing. I'm like, why did you cut that word off there? And then I tell myself, because it makes you want to know what the fucking word says. And I'm like, oh, and why, why are you drawing this Aztec style like everyone else sees Aztec over when they're scrolling through Aztec information? I'm like, oh, because see that all the time when they look for Aztec information, and it's like a constant V8, 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 V8. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think about that? And you know what? It pushes me out of the cave. I'm not in the cave writing anymore. I'm in the cave telling the AI, hey, write this for me. I want you to go in that cave. I want you to dig a fucking hole till you see sunlight. And AI's like, okay, this is this is John Henry crucifying himself. What is John Henry learning? I don't know. I'm telling you, I think I'm depressed by it. I think the whole thing's been depressing me all week. I don't think that I've noticed it. And actually, I'm kind of excited. Uh, Cameron, if I can single you out, I literally told ChatGPT, hey, could you give me some, see, I've been thinking about this. I literally told it, hey, so we have this thing called a dojo. You know about air chefs, but really they used to be called dojo. And they used to be this thing where we'd meet and we'd have this stuff going on and we're having this one, but see, it's not everyone. It's just right now we don't know who's going to be there, but it's moderated by Cameron Print. Can we give you an image? And it paints this image for the thumbnail, and I'm blown away by it. I'm just like, holy fuck! I was blown away by that image. I read into it. I said, this guy found Cameron. The guy went out and looked for Cameron Prim and built a profile of it and came up with what would Cameron most look like. And it read through the transcript, so it's probably heard of what he says. I did the same thing with James True. Every time I ask it about James True, it makes me more noble than last time. I'm more bald, but my beard is more white. I'm more wise. I'm more this. I'm more in the center. I become more of the focus. And the entire time, I'm like, I never would have even thought to put myself in that kind of light or to paint myself in that kind of archetype. How dare you? All that's gone because I didn't do it. I fucking Tezcatlipoca that. I did it without doing it. And it's so powerful. I don't know if I like what happened. I don't really know. I have no idea what's going to happen, Cameron, with my next novel because of this. I really don't, because I'm more thinking now. One of my biggest problems with sci-fi is they're so complicated because you're just trying to remember everything. You're just trying to remember all these different facts. And in my mind, I'm imagining this conversation with my AI, with Gaia, where we fight over, we hash out the outline for this book together. Where at no point do I ask her to write, but I need her to fucking keep this stuff in track. When I say Reggie, I don't even remember who that character is, but I know Gaia's going to be able to tell me Reggie was the pilot on the boat, not the plane. It was the boat where Leia was put into the freezer and he came out and hit her. Oh, thank you. Now I know that I need that. That's not killing me, but it's changing me. I have to associate into a mecha suit, a silicone mecha suit. And just like the painter says, I reject all people who use AI as art, I'm going to drown the same way if I don't do it. I'm going to drown because I don't get to create. I didn't say I'm going to drown because I'm going to lose witness or people aren't going to find what I used to do enticing. I'm going to drown because I'm not going to be able to create anymore. That's what's going to make me drown. So this has been the only thing that's helped me maybe start to think about. Maybe I could use this as an outliner. I think it would be insulting if I asked it to write. And I think that it would destroy the rest of the humanity the same way it did to that article. I will never do that again. I will never ask it to rewrite my article like that because It really did. It removed the soul was sucked out of the word. I didn't even see it anymore. I think if you were to read it, I bet you would even agree, honestly, because it colossally missed the deep, sickening cobalt irony of these two things that I was spearing up against itself. And by changing one thing, it just turned it into a dichotomous off the shelf kind of irony. Like it softened it in that way because it didn't know that that's who I am. It didn't know that I was hiding in that crevice. That little shadow right there is where you find me. And you're like, there's James True right there. You can't really touch it, you know? It's that I chose to put this space there and allow you to see the darkness so you could broadcast who I want you to fucking see me as. This is how I think it works, Cameron. And I'm only now realizing, fuck, this is how I think it works. That's why I'm getting mad about Ken Wheeler. Can you see how he's showing me that? Like it's showing me that. It's showing me how little it takes to broadcast shadow, to broadcast that dark spot, because that's where all the latency is. That's where Tezcatlipoca is. So, Daniel, thanks for being patient. I'm definitely going to turn this back over to Cameron, but this just steers up a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. That great stuff, James. Daniel, before I get to you, I just want to say that would you believe I actually ended up thinking less of Manly P. Hall for hiring a someone to do his dictation for him, and but the reason I thought less was because I heard that he believed that it drained your own soul to write with ink on paper, and so because he worked with so many words, he hired someone. Which again, this could have been hearsay, but you may have found a nice use for that to help you organize the thoughts, um, and maybe deprive you and maybe save you some of that soul that it takes out of your work as with its editorial acumen. But Daniel, I'm very pleased to see your hand raised. I've noticed you in the space for a little while, and I've been anticipating you coming in. So it's good to see you. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, yes, okay. This is so unusual for me. I'm sorry, using Zoom and yeah, I definitely just wanted to raise my hand, make myself present. I feel like I'm intruding, and I also am quite, I guess, a little bit nervous because it's all quite new. But I see there's like 10 people here. Hello. I know Renee is sort of a big somebody to ask questions to, uh, and yeah. So my name is Daniel, and I've been listening to James for a few years. And I've jumped in and out of airship sometimes to see what you guys are up to. I never, yeah, it seems like it's changing, or I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on yet. But I relate to the things you guys talk about. It sounds like psychotherapy. So I don't mean to, I'm a psychotherapist, and yeah, I don't know. And I also was a Zen meditator, so I know what dojo means. But so yeah, I'm not really sure if I'm in the right place, but then I heard you guys talking now, and I heard James. It started to relax and sink in, and I heard you guys talking about some things that were interesting about AI and being an artist, and so I found myself interested. It's Friday night. I just got off work. I've been listening all day to people, so I'm wondering if I can do this, you know. Um, But thank you for letting me be here. I do not, I feel, I'm very respectful of these places because I was trained, I don't know how to say it. I just feel if I don't want to do anything wrong, I'm concerned with that. Yeah. So anyway, maybe you guys have questions. I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I would love to just hear you guys do your thing. And I hope I don't move too much. I notice you guys are all very concentrated. I will try not to move so much and maybe black out the screen or something later. Thank you. I live in Berlin, Germany, and I speak very good English.
Thank
Can
you.
I just respond to that really quick for me to Daniel? Daniel, I'm a mover. I'm a pretty bouncy person. So I've been known to be a little bit more like have some stretch in me. So you can always like kind of go behind and just, yeah, I think we're here to open up. We want to kind of show how we're cool with, I mean, sometimes if I hula hoops, someone just like, Renee, do not hula hoop in the background. put your spin in. But I think the movements of your nature is really beautiful to see too. So yeah, I mean the engagements is like it's kind of in your how you a lot of it's in your response, really. Just you can tell if you're listening. We can feel. I mean, you work with people, right? I'm a hairstylist, so I've worked with people for years too. So we kind of learned the language of the body. So that's why I'm pretty peaked when I look around here, and I saw you, and I was just excited to see you in the chat. But I'm sorry, I just want to talk about the body stuff because that's really fun for me. Okay, there you go, Cameron.
Thank you, Renee, very much. Yeah, Daniel, it's wonderful to see you here, and yeah, I think what you noticed about some of the use that people often get from this from the airship and dojo, there is a therapeutic value for the psyche, for myself at least, and uh, and it's wonderful to have you. And it sounds like you have a rich life to draw from, and could probably contribute a lot here. And I'm excited to see what you offer, or what your presence brings to this. Because with a lot of people here, I can certainly feel their attention, whether or not you feel that yours is locked in and focused currently or not. It's appreciated.
Yeah, with that, if there is tension or if you're nervous about doing something wrong, I don't know if it's because of things that have just happened or if you're just naturally that way. Um, but either way, it's a good place to just kind of find your posture. I think more about posture than it is about psychotherapy, although you could argue both are the same. I like it to be more of a an opportunity to just watch how each other were dealing with vitriol in the world, like an opponent in the world, and you could be your own opponent, things like that. And it's really more of an exploratory kind of look at each other's calligraphy. So if anyone's unsure about what we do on here, I think it's that. It's opportunities to express your calligraphy, whether it's something you're proud of or ashamed of, and to do that in a witnessed environment that's a little bit heavier than you might be used to on the street, and that heaviness is just a thickness of amplitude or signal or whatnot. If there is any sort of nervousness that's happened lately, I think it's more around the idea of anonymity. And the anonymity is really related to the indivisible versus visible thing because it's just, we're looking at a field state, really. And that field state is something that we're having to explore, and it's highly caloric. It's burning a lot of calories. And it's doing that because I think ultimately the group is in flux with itself over what these possibilities mean. There really is a majoritarian egregore that exists in every group, and I don't think it's something we would ever destroy or remove from ours. I don't even saying I want it to be destroyed. I want it to be seen. And sometimes when you look directly at a demon, it disappears, sadly, because it's been seen. It's just the nature of how the algorithm works. The algorithm is Many algorithms are going to work because they're not seen, just as some algorithms would work because they're always seen. So it would be one of those things. I don't, I don't know if we're making the right call, simply because of what the tendency is in the rest of the world to cater to the majority. And I find that lately it feels like we've been going out of our way to create a straw man and giving that straw man feelings. And I kind of feel disrespecting, like I'm disrespecting myself. In reference to the hole in the tree, it's one thing to let's go hang out and have a picnic and hear who wants to put their voice in the tree and talk to it. It's quite another to build a military industrial complex around the hole in the tree and create a society that looks for the hole in the tree to purposely guide them in very, very unhealthy ways. But still, the fact is that we get so much benefit from listening to the hole in the tree that all the bad stuff that happens just doesn't matter anymore. This part I just said, I think this is really at the heart of majoritarian anonymity. That truly the biggest scapegoat is the hole in the tree because we just simply get to say, well, it wasn't my idea. It was just the hole in the tree told me. And this is one of our most powerful magical acts we've ever done. So when I pull it out on the mat, and I think we pulled it out on the mat last week, it's not something I really want to defeat. I've tried to defeat it, but then I've noticed how important it is for people that they really want to cling to that thing. And then I start to give it more feelings. Then I start to be ashamed of myself for giving something feelings that hasn't earned them as a human. It becomes much more manipulative because now people just simply need to just defend the group. And just by defending the group, we're giving it more life, and the individual ends up suffering from it. It's a very difficult thing. I don't think that there's a right answer. I don't even know if we've necessarily found the right posture. I do know that three people were cut, and that those people were cut for reasons that a shallow witness would never be able to see. I would need to take you back and show you the books, show you the employee schedule, show you all the lawsuits we've had on the in the property, like really just go into all this boring tax information, all this other stuff to I'm talking about energetic information to show you exactly why those people were cut. And even that becomes weird because I'm having to apply mystery and latency to those reasons too. And the end result is all of us will internalize what's happened, become more nervous about sharing, or create an aura in the room where we should be walking on glass versus just leaning into our self evidence. If you trust me, then you would see quite obviously that as a proprietor, I would be only hurting myself by purposely pruning and removing people that are helping me keep the lights on. That should be enough trust. But if we want to constantly look for a scapegoat that's going to allow us to offload our evilness onto, I would be a great candidate because I'm practicing this art of pruning. So I also have to allow that on the mat. I have to understand that I'm never going to be able to get rid of that either. So it becomes this really tricky game where I almost want to just remain motionless and not say a thing. And if I just wait long enough, the crowd will cleanse itself. It will regulate themselves into a state where ultimately the people that want to be here will remain, and the people that feel too nervous about it will leave. This is probably the wisest or most Zen like thing I could do, but it's also going to take a while. And until then, I don't think we're going to have as much fun because we're waiting for that system to clear. So instead, I try and make prunes more obvious. I try and wait for everyone in the room to watch me so they can see me prune consciously. I'm hoping that you'll see the confidence, maybe, or the lack of confidence I display when I do that is really all the explanation you need because we're moving out of this zetetic brain explanation into this one of mythology, which is I have a mythology about what's necessary for this to take place. It feels like the airship is turning into a dojo, and it feels like that's the right way to go. It feels like this will remove a lot of people that are looking for something light and airy. I would love to find a way to cater to them too. Maybe we could do like a Sunday night radio show where it becomes that kind of a thing. But additionally, there is a desire for people that I do not see anyone else satisfying to provide a posture ceremony like this. And it will be mucky, especially at first. It will require heavy sacrifices. I think Pi made a big sacrifice for what the dojo should be in his mind. I think that that sacrifice will never be acknowledged or understood. He just had to fucking take one for the team. And I could give you more data about what all this means, but I feel like I would even be backpedaling on everything else I've just learned about the importance of latency. So it's complicated as fuck unless you just trust yourself. Don't trust me. Don't trust anyone else. Just trust yourself to find all these things self evidently. And I encourage those who only need 1 to 4% encouragement. If you need 5% or more, I'm not encouraging you. If that makes sense, I just really want to learn my calligraphy to be constructive too, in reference to what should be encouraged, what should not, and things like that. Everything you say is going to be placed on the air. So it's the opposite of being a hole in a tree. And that's going to sting at first. Some of you are going to regret what you said. Some of you may want to ask me to pull an episode and just let me know. I'm not against these things. But ultimately, if you can stick to it, I think you'll find the exposure to be a perfect way of secreting frankincense that you've never been able to secrete before. So I hope this will be constructive in that way. But even I am casting my own hypothetical about about what this could and should be. And I'm waiting at any moment for a shoe or a Damocles sword to drop to tell me how wrong I am so I can adjust accordingly, if that makes sense. So I'm really, really wide open on all this stuff. I'm just glad you came, Daniel. I'm glad you said hi and just expressed how you feel. So thank you.
Appreciate the clarification on that. And I think that the dojo setting was absolutely crucial last time around for everybody involved, even if ultimately ended up being a somewhat thankless endeavor for the people who spearheaded that. And I've perhaps lost sight since I've checked out of a lot of what's going on with the bigger picture and the grander narratives. I might have lost sight of how much stress a lot of people are going through, and I think that this actually could be another time where a dojo setting could be crucial. So I look forward to it opening up that way if it turns out to do so. Lauren, great to see you again. I see your hands raised. Go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. It's nice to see you all. A lot of good energy in this room. I asked James if it was okay if I read this message that I sent him. And it was about after the show, Airship 2.10, Cannibalism, Confession, and the Cost of Being Real. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it, okay? It says, "This is me sharing, me and my stoic self. I've always tried to remain very small so that no one could see me because I grew up to know that my family thought I was a burden and a liability. I even breathed shallow so that no one knew I was there." And I go on to say, "Hi, James. I hope this day is treating you nicely. I wanted to reach out and allow myself to be vulnerable and to let you know that being part of the airship means a lot to me. I almost raised my hand after Lori to share. But the ride had just about come to an end, and perhaps that was for the best yesterday. I was also struggling to know if my story was even relevant to the airship. I have a hard time dropping my stoic nature and showing myself. I've never been encouraged to do so, and I want to learn how. If I would have shared yesterday, you would have seen tears. I want to honor the weakness and honor the drama. I had spoken of the solar plexus being the second brain, and I confessed to ignoring the pings and stomps from mine for a whole year. I have been specifically getting my body, mind, and nerves and spirit into shape, ever attending to the temple. I've been working hard on this for about 3 years with a group that I study with. I feel like let's see. Anyway, I have sensitized myself and I am seeing the results in my life, the beauty and the sublime results. It's amazing what breath work and sacred mantras can do when taken seriously and done faithfully throughout the day at appointed times. This is a lonesome life, and that's okay. I've dedicated myself to it fully. Studying, reading books, volunteering, exercising, keeping my body and mind as clean as possible. So love is what made me weak after Airship 2.10 on cannibalism. A half hour after the show ended, my solar plexus began to burn. We just talked about that in the show. And after about an hour, Rob, my sweet, handsome friend from Columbus, whom I had met a little over a year ago, texted me and asked if we could do a video chat. And this was unusual because we had only done that one other time before. He found me online very innocently, and we began to text, and it was clear he was very lonely and needed and wanted my witness, my support, and my love. The texts were friendship and love-based. I knew I was not being given the whole picture. I felt it, and I am with shame admitting that I ignored it. I was so happy to have a dedicated friend. Every day there were texts, and reliably so. And he is 6 or 7 years younger than me, and that's a huge no-no for me usually, but I made an exception. I was open about my life, shared pictures, and wanted to drive from Cleveland to Columbus to hang out. And that was always an issue for him. But I was patient. And besides, my life is all about attaining mastership, studying, and living it. It's almost like a full-time job in a sense. My love and me believing in him too made him blossom. It also made him feel guilty. And finally, he admitted to me during that video call that he was, in fact, married. And that it was super complicated, and that he had lost all of his family, and that his job didn't respect him, and that he had felt unseen, but that I had helped to fix that. The wave had collapsed right then and there. All the suspended possibilities had fallen to the ground and become dust. The truth was a gift to be given. It was medicine, and it was bitter medicine. It made me look at everything with a different eye. I saw that all the time I spent texting him was not time well spent. The books that I could have read in that time spent entertaining the lie and texting. My example of truth and honesty weighed heavily upon him. Thus, he became forthcoming with the reality of the situation. I thought he was a single dorky tech guy. He was very private, all the while knowing the exact truth at the same time and burying it. He had reminded me of Roger, that I had lost to lung cancer during COVID. I'm not to accept anything degrading in my life. I'm not to do anything to anyone that I wouldn't want done to myself. I'm to help others and care for my friends. I am confused. I am hurt. I feel betrayed and lied to. I was transparent and his glass was frosted and opaque. He's loved despite it all. I am to hate the evil or the lie and never the person. I forgive him. I feel compassion. I put myself in his shoes. I felt how heavy the lie had become. I saw how the lie poisoned his whole system in my mind's eye, and I forgive him. And I will not abandon him, but I will only be his friend and encourage him to make better, more exalted decisions. I hope my decision to remain a friend is the right one. I weighed out both cutting off the communication and remaining, and more pain would result from cutting it off. I needed the shock, even though it honestly felt like the marrow was sucked from my bones and all of my nerves that I had worked so hard to attune had become sensitive. To become sensitive and healthy, they were in pain like at no other time. This was a lesson for sure, and I have to guard my physicality and mind on this path so that my soul can unfold properly. I have to guard my flame and wait for real love. I need to find someone who adheres to divine and natural law, and I won't have to fear the lies, because the man on the path would know that as he does to me, so he does to himself. I was weak, but through that weakness, I had allowed part of myself to fall into inertia. The time invested in entertaining the lie could have been spent more wisely on growth, and that growth would have led me closer to my goal and the only true reality. And then I asked him, I said, would sharing any part of this mess of a story been any good to share with you guys on this airship? One other thing I wanted to say from that same airship, I love what you said about being above the turbulence and to raise the room without anyone noticing, and that our ability to be fooled is the ability to develop immunity. Anyway, this is me being vulnerable and letting you all a little bit closer to myself. So I know that was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me.
Thank you so much, Lauren. If anybody would like to speak to Lauren directly, I could cut you in before we get to you, Yesenia. I just want to maybe if I could speak to this and what it means to, or I feel, especially in light of the episode that prompted some of this beautiful writing. There was a lot about, like you said, cannibalism in the family, um, and some people talking about approaching their siblings as you need to become accountable, and it just makes me think of the difference between shame imputed and shame aroused. And I think that you might have aroused some shame in this person because of your strength of character and what they see in you, and that sort of shame is rehabilitative. It's a powerful force. So congratulations in bringing that out of them.
It's really well said, Cameron. Can I add
Absolutely.
to that? That's really well said. This is what this is what we want. is 1 to 5% shame. If we can feel that, then it's going to be really constructive. One way is to look at Lauren, and I'm more than happy to do that. But it's also a really quick way to look at him, and we can actually look at him constructively through compassion. Because here's a guy that here's what I see. It's a guy that doesn't have the ability to place a boundary in his life, so he creates a lie to give himself sanctity. It gives himself a private place. Sanctity is the wrong word, but it gives himself privacy. And so if you were in a relationship where you didn't feel it was okay to have privacy, you would have to lie to your spouse. But you're a nice person, so that's what we tell ourselves. So you can't lie to yourself. You're going to need an excuse to create a bubble. And that excuse is going to be that no one understands you. And so once you can convince yourself that your wife doesn't understand you, then it becomes really easy to create that lie in order to create that separation. But that separation is only going to be valid or justified if you are not understandable. So you have to remove anyone understanding you in order to keep the boundary. But now you want to be understood, and then you find Lauren, and this occurs. But we're not talking about Lauren yet. We're talking about that guy's appetite. That guy is doing his best to grow consciousness, believe it or not. He's living in a mode, as quite frankly, he's living as so one part, just one part. I don't mean to say this is all of it, but one part of that is he's living as a man. A man is stoic. They don't have feelings. I'm just saying the template for man doesn't really have privacy unless you are just stoic as fuck and you just keep everything inside. This is the closest you're going to get to privacy in a man. So in the new world with a new consciousness, all of us have a bigger appetite, but the template of man, the appetite is not really there. It's still one who gives himself to be with a woman, and a woman is one who gives herself to be with a man. These are sides, and there's really no center because it's a side of something. So it's a dynamic, unique role that is helpful and fun to play on the playground, and it's insufficient and isn't satisfying your appetite for consciousness. So it's quite easy in my mind to see why he would need to create this thing, why he would look for someone sacred like Lauren to exercise this need. And then we get to look at Lauren, because Lauren has an appetite that's not being satisfied for consciousness. Lauren is looking for people that have good boundaries. Why? Because she understands boundaries are hermetic. She understands if she can find a man with a fucking boundary, she's going to find a man that finds things sacred. She's looking for a sacred man, and she knows that the sacred man's going to have boundaries. And she's found a man who has a really good fucking boundary. He's such a good boundary, but she may not know why he has such a good boundary. She can smell his boundary. He's a private guy, living his life in his hermetic hole, keeps his wisdom to himself because everyone else is out to get him. No one understands him, but I do. I know it all. And this is a deserving meal that, quite frankly, I can't think of anyone else but Lauren who would deserve to find and have this. And Lauren knows she deserves this because she lives right. I've seen her posture. I'm not making this up. I've seen Lauren's posture. I know her skills. I know what she's capable of. I know how much she devotes herself to study. I can smell how beautiful she is. I've been in the room with her. So it makes quite natural sense to me that this is a very conscious, healthy appetite for her to have. Both people are doing something exactly right. Both people are suffering from a lack of posture in order to maintain what is right. Do you see what I mean? If you can't hold the boundary yourself, you're going to lean on Lauren. If you can't find those conscious, this is to Lauren, if you cannot find the conscious meat in the room, you're going to look for it through someone else. I think that you were attracted to him because, just like, and you admitted this, there's a lot of conscious depth that this guy's deceiving. He's holding something from you, and you don't know what it is, but you know it's there, and you know if you can find it, and all this other. And so there's a lot. This is exciting. And so I want you to understand that really this is the birth of a new appetite, and you're just trying to find a way to fulfill it in the forest. And we want the birth to be there. We want the drama. We want the appetite to be there. All we have to do is just find a way to get it more efficiently. And most of the time, we'll find that simply by adjusting our posture and our calories. In other words, feeling good about our appetite. Let's not feel bad about our boundaries. Let's feel good about our appetite. Because really, if we invigorate that, if we say, yeah, it's okay, like you could even do this. You could say, look, you're my child. You're a werewolf. You need to eat a raw human every day. I love you. I want you to have that. And you're having this conversation with your werewolf because you love it so much. And you realize, look, it's going to take a human every day. But there are a lot of people that are asleep. There's a lot of people that actually want to die. We're going to start with suicide notes. We're going to eat them first. And you're going to dexterize the whole world, aren't you? You're going to find exactly the right candidates that fit in exactly the right mind. And this is, you're going to be able to live this way epigenetically for several centuries. I think you've already been doing this, Lauren. I think now you're at this other point where you're like, you know what, that's not going to work because I've used, if I can find the right relationship, if I can find the right job, if I can leverage the right skills, my magical skills. I'm trying to talk to you without everyone else figuring out what I'm talking about, Lauren. But if I can find my magical skills that everyone else automatically puts a lot of prana in and goes, holy fuck, you can do that. I can, and none of these are going to get you back to this gold of yourself, the goldness of you, finding that sheen. And you're going to keep using excuses because you're afraid to find out if you have it or not. You're afraid to find out if you have it or not. And I've got some good news because you don't have it. This is the best news you've heard. You don't have enough. That's why you've been doing this. And the only reason why you don't have enough is because you've not been fully alone yet to build it. That you just have to go right into that fully alone part, but not in a I'm hurt way or I'm in a rejected way, but in a would you guys get the fuck out of here for a while? And then you're going to pour your salt and you're going to draw your own circle and you're going to pee on something. I don't know what you're going to do. You know this, but you're going to do that. And you're going to find that you showed up for yourself then. That's actually what'll do it. And in the middle of it, I think you're going to notice that the appetite's not enough. This is a weird story. This is so weird. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I would take off my clothes in the middle of the woods sometimes because I didn't have enough conscious torque. I wanted more. And if I took off my clothes and I wandered around, I could like turn into this kind of like fiendish kind of creature where I would start like de-animizing myself. I cannot believe I'm telling you this, but I would enter into a non-verbal state of communication with the environment. And it was never enough. It was, I really probably needed to like eat something or kill something or like it wasn't enough because I was looking for the environment to give this to me. Do you understand? This is what I want you to know. I was looking for the environment to fulfill. So it was like, do I need to be almost being caught? Do I need to do this near an apartment complex? Here's an industrial park with the fountains. I need to do it here because there's all the security around. And I'm like, James, you're going to go to jail. And I'm like, yeah, is it the jacking of going to jail? I looked for that appetite everywhere, everywhere, everywhere until I was alone. And I was on the shore of this river lake and I was naked and I wasn't doing it for me. And then all of a sudden something weird happened. I just got sick of it. And I got down on all fours and I started sinking my fingers into the muddy wash of the silt from the I crawled into the river as if I didn't know that the river was there. I just started like walking, and even though I was getting wet, I had de-animized the fact that it was liquid. I wasn't getting wet. I wasn't an I. I wasn't an id. I was just simply a part of the environment. And I went directly into the water, but I didn't like try and sink myself. I just kept going down until I was finally submerged. And I stayed underwater and I was trying to drown myself, like the memory of who I was. I wanted to touch every surface with my tongue, with my genitals. I'm not trying to be weird. I literally mean that. The most vulnerable parts of you, I wanted to touch the environment. I wanted to touch that. I needed that kind of intimacy with the world, Lauren. I'd never had that kind of intimacy with it. And when I emerged, I was this lizard, weird, Sleestackian black lagoon creature. I was hideous because the fact that someone would see me would destroy me, which is why I felt hideous. And for the first time, I felt alive. I felt alive because I was hideous, not because I was beautiful. I felt alive because I didn't have the framework to think of myself only as a creature that is soft or muscular or in shape to behold. That you would behold me because of how fucking peculiar I am. You were going to behold me because I was fucking lit and you had no choice. It's a it's a different face, Lauren. It's a completely different face in a completely different place. And there's no coming back from that. There's zero going back. I could not even try and be the person I was before that now. I wouldn't even know how to fit into that kind of skin, that zippy toe tech kind of a skin. I don't know if this helps, but I had to like shed that final bit of like self-respect, that final bit of like, it's not that the respect isn't there. It's just different now. It doesn't come from me appearing proper or knowing the right words or being even intimidated as a man or being muscular. No, it comes more from maybe he is gay. Maybe he is a weird fucking trans Luciferian, like all those. It's that. It's accepting every single facet that someone might interpret me as simultaneously and being like, yeah, that and fucking more. Like that and more is who I tell the world. It's a different context, it's a different needle. I'm never not satisfied with my appetite though. Most of the time I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I ate that much. Like of the moment of like the moment of it all. It's that. It's rarely that, oh, I'm running out of food to eat. It's quite different now. I'm like, why are you so obsessed with this water spout? It's that kind of thing. Every moment is just teeming with that animism now because somehow I was able to like drop those vigors, that vigorous nature of, am I elegant enough to be here? No, you're not. So now you can really be here. Now you can really sink in. This is psychotherapy. Maybe it is something more. But if you have these ceremonies with yourself and don't share them, I'm blowing this by sharing you. Now I got to go do it again and even weirder. I'm okay with it. It's just another zippy toe tag, right? But if you keep having these, I think you find that you build your own borders because quite frankly, you did something that you don't want anyone to know that you did that. Like you'll drive by it with them in your car and you're like, yeah, I'm not telling you fucking what I did to that spot. Like there's no fucking way I'm going to tell you that. And that this really is your electrical field. This is who you are. And you do not want to be Zaru Zaru. You do not want to be transparent, as the Tanzanians say. That the transparent ones are ghosts. They're not even here. You want to have these masks because those masks build up parthenia. They build up the intrigue. They build up all the things that make you beautiful. Is all that mystery has these places to stay. But you and I have spent so much time making sure that we're clean, making sure that we're transparent because it's been our desperate attempt to be accepted because of how clean we are. And it doesn't work on this plane. It doesn't. Don't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're going to waste a lot of time.
Thank you, James. And thank you again, Lauren. Cynthia, thank you so much for keeping your hand up. It's good to see you today. Go right ahead.
Hi everyone. Lauren, your share was wonderful. Thank you. Um, I I I have a lot of thoughts. I obviously involved myself in the drama on Patreon, and I've been feeling my own turbulence from it. Like I could feel how it affected my posture, and I'm still I'm still pondering on it. I'm still pondering on the last airship, like resonating with the word orphan. I had a friend when I was 16 that would call me his orphan friend. Like that was kind of his like humor or levity towards me. We're obviously not friends anymore, but I've always accepted. I wanna just have a shout out to like my parents for not being there for me because I feel like that is the biggest blessing that I've ever had. Like I and people see me now. I'm just 25. Like I feel very intimidated amongst some of you because I know you have way more experience on this earth, on this soil than I do, and I know sometimes I just have to listen. Like we were also talking about listening, and that was really big for me. That's why I took the opportunity to just listen last time and really digest everything that's going on. I feel like everything around me within this airship, in my personal life, at work, it's just there's some sort of altitude change, and I feel the turbulence from it. And I also feel like everything clearing. Um, Yesterday there was drama at my job, and someone said the trash takes itself out, and that kind of resonated with me in terms of like, why am I going to get my hands dirty when karma's doing her job? So that's it.
Yesenia. I interpreted you saying, or your friend saying that the trash takes itself out, kind of in two ways. Maybe in a way that might lend itself to the idea that I don't need to dirty my hands, or I guess when I first heard, I thought of another thankless job where maybe you were taking out the trash and no one noticed, and so they just thought it was taking out itself. Because I tend to find that that is often a result of doing things constantly and reliably. People just forget that they ever even needed to be done. But um, if it was the first, I still like I can relate to that. I have a lot of reservations about um, getting tangled up with people who might have less to lose than I feel I have, uh, and so I can relate to that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree. I've been rereading the Tale Between Two Colts, the Substack article that James posted, and the different postures of being in a church. And I was looking over the Vandal, and I've sometimes wonder if that's is that what I'm doing, or and again, I remember James reiterating that you can be everyone in different points of your life and different points of your journey. So I'm just learning. I see that that I see this at my job. My job is a church. My job is a cult. When I come in and I clock in, that's a cult that I signed up for. And I see all these different postures around me, and I don't want to call anyone trash. I mean behavior. You know, the action, the zippy toe tech that you wear, the behavior that you wear and that you act out. If it is one that is not corresponding or in alignment with the flow state of a place, it's gonna leave. It's gonna take itself out. So why am I going to put energy in battling with that sort of thing? But it does that make me a pacifist? Does that make me a coward? I'm going through all these questions and all these feelings right now
Yeah.
as I speak.
It also could be um, I'm glad the word trash came up because it actually could be some missed calories some missed prana because of pharmacos. So if there is trashy behavior in the room, it could be the red pheasant. It could be exactly the thing that we could use to scapegoat anything else that needs cleaning, right? So recognize calling something trash is calling something a weed. It's the same thing. It's calling something evil. It's calling something spam. Like ultimately, because really, trash is an opportunity to make something clean. It's the ability to prove that, hey, I can better what this place looks like, and the place instantly looks feels like it's loved because someone wiped its butt. Like, is the baby pooping or is the baby asking, could you please prove that you love me? Which one is it? Because one way of looking at it is we have a sanitary issue, so we should develop a machine that automatically cleans this thing. Another is no, this is actually just the appeal on a regular schedule of, hey, and if you love something, now's the chance to show it. And so, and if you don't, infection is going to set in, or whatever else you want to, whatever the downsides of doing that are. So it's a pharmacos in the sense of, in a positive way, that we can utilize this to cleanse the rest of the room. So it's a bring out your dead opportunity where don't just throw that dead body away. Let's go ahead and put it on a cart and ring a bell and say, bring out your dead, and do a round with it. Ultimately, that's probably what was happening. Ultimately, that's what it means when someone says the trash takes itself out. They're ultimately just doing that too. So I'm not even saying that's deconstructive. However, it is an opportunity maybe to make it even more constructive. It's an opportunity to see, hey, I cleaned my bathroom for the first time in a while. I've been traveling and stuff, so it got dirty. And when I was cleaning it, I was like, this is an opportunity to cleanse my body, is how I said it, because of this throat thing I've been having. So I wasn't just cleaning the bathroom. That would have been a task. Instead, I got to animalize it as all these things are being done to me. And I say that out loud sometimes. Mostly I can just think about it. But it really is more about my posture in why I'm doing it. Is this a task? Is it something that's removing trash? Or is it invigorating the compost bin that we have outside? Like it's the same thing. Again, I'm not saying anything's wrong, Sydney. It's just opportunities to see these techniques, especially in our language, to maybe do something even more constructive with it. Thanks.
Yeah, Cindy, if you could keep me updated, I would appreciate that. From what little I know of what you've discussed about um, your job, it sounds like you are in a leadership role there, and also um, maybe uh, newly into the job. And so, if this is a pragmatic question about how much your hands need to be in this process with the trash being taken out, I would love to hear what kind of wisdom you can glean from this moving forward. So thank you for sharing. Rita, I see that your hand's raised. Am I correct? And this is your first time speaking here in the dojo?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's first time. I was present with one airship before. Not right then. It was after. I saw it afterwards because I got lost on the internet trying to pay to Patreon and get. So I'm not so good with these things. Uh, so lovely to be here, and Renee is laughing. Yeah, exactly. I got lost. I, I don't want to miss. I was so happy. I was commenting there, and it was so interesting about cannibalism and everything. And then, and then it was like I was left hanging there. Oh, I want to be to continue, and then completely lost. So, I want to thank you, James, and everyone for. I mean, I've been following James for a while, and I've been listening on and off. I'm on my own journey with the acquirement of wisdom through purification. So, and unifying the four bodies. So, unification for me, I come from the perspective of it's an individual thing. So if we become all indivisible, as we were in the beginning before we divided and came here. This is how we will unite with each other as well. So it's not like it's not. I don't see it as the swarm or the the hive in that sense, but also an individual process, and to honor ourselves and each other that way, and to help each other grow, and also to test ourselves on how much we have achieved. And that is facing challenges. Like for me, speaking now is a challenge. English is not my mother tongue. I am from Romania originally, and I live since 1991. I live in Sweden. So this is also not my mother tongue. So I've been challenging myself quite a lot since 18, at least, when I came here. So it was almost like a self-exile. And then I challenged myself even more because I wanted to find some answers to why things happen as they do on an individual level, family level, and global level. So I ended up as a journalist in different war-torn areas. So I participated as such, and I was graced with not seeing too much. So, and it was enough for me anyway. I ended up with PTSD and a lot of health issues. And so then the spiritual journey had to become much stronger in that sense. Yes, very queer in perspective. Yeah, thank you. Because we really I feel that there is an imperative for us to move away from the Piscean tyrannical dominance, centralized thinking, and dominance, servitude, all of that. And we do carry these things inside of us, and archetypes also, to master them instead of being mastered by them. So so yeah, so I appreciate very much for you listening, and I don't know what more to say. I have a lot to say, but yeah, I think it's enough for now. Thank you very much.
Very much, Renee. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rita, for saying Renee's name there. It's great to hear from you, and I'm happy to hear that you've been here for a while. Uh, uh, I thank you for bringing it back around to indivisibility and to your path towards unification. Maybe you would consider me a fellow traveler in that regard, and maybe we're in different phases of the process. For me, in terms of cannibalism and people's need to eat, my journey for unification has been trying to see that my family's need to eat me, for example, or my need to eat my family is on a grander scale a form of autophagy or autophagy, as we say, which is I'd like to think of it as a healthy process. Yesenia, I see your hands raised. Go right ahead.
I just have a question for James or you, Cameron, or Renee, the group, because I've been in the workforce for like 10 years now, and every job I see the same archetypes. Do they go away? When do they go away? Like that's just my question.
Yeah, I think you're gonna bring the ones to the surface that you most need to see, obviously, and so of course those will change as needed. But a lot of times they don't change because you just don't know that others exist, that you don't know there's even another possibility. This is why I find that the biggest appetite I can find in the room typically is me finding someone that I'm mad at and seeing if I can compassionate them. That to me shows me most of the archetypes because they're showing me a suit of the arcane that I haven't learned how to play yet. And so I'm mad at them because I'm watching them use a Pokemon card that I don't think should be valid. And so I'm not saying that's the best way, but I've noticed accidentally the charlatan is a perfect example. I feel like I'm just really proud of myself because I feel like I've compassionated the charlatan. Like seriously, like I'm really proud of myself for that. Maybe I'm riding on the coattails too much, but I had such a negative feeling for that archetype until I really understood it. And now when I see it, it's kind of beautiful. It's like a sweet innocence. It's a little girl that wants to make a puppy feel better, you know, and she's bringing it all the flowers that she's ever picked, and it's that kind of a thing. So it I learned the archetype I by solving it, and I solve it by not being angry at it when I see it, or not being frustrated by it, or not feeling that it doesn't belong, or that it's stupid, or that it's evil, or that it's all those things. This is exactly why I was telling Lauren about him first, because ultimately that's what she was doing. This isn't a problem that this happened. This is the red pheasant that Lauren's brought to the mat, and she's like, "Hey, what do you guys see?" And I see this archetype. This archetype's there, and it's brilliant, and it's staring at her. And if you have more, then you can go into the cannibalism at all. Well, I want him to eat me because I'm going to eat him too. It's all part of this, and you would be able to see that at work too. You would be able to go into work, and just by closing your eyes and feeling the timbre of Jake, who's standing right next to you, you've had a relationship with Jake. You've been working together for a few weeks now. Maybe you don't even actually know how you actually feel about Jake. But if you close your eyes metaphorically, you feel the vibration of him against your crystal. First, you're going to have to know your crystal, but then when you feel that, there's an archetype. It's called Jake. The archetype's right there. And once you master that, you're going to know that Jake likes you all the time. You could call that manipulating him, but really you're just seeing him. You just have compassion for him, which means you can kind of guess what he's going to do before he can guess. And ultimately, this is really what builds friendships, I think. We understand each other's archetypes, maybe better than the person using it to themselves. And we tap into that ability, and we say, "You get me," because really we get their archetype is what it is. And once you have that, you don't want to discard it. You want to keep that in your deck because this is something that you'll be able to use all the time. Maybe you'll never use it yourself, but if you get to see it in someone else, it's such a perfect avenue to kind of get a VIP slot right into their cockpit because they know that you understand them. More importantly, they want to cannibalize your understanding of them, which is why they're inviting you in. They're not doing it because you're great, Yesenia. Fuck no. They're doing it because they're going to eat you, and they're counting on this to happen. This is a different way of looking at the world, but it's a very natural way. I think it's the most easiest lizard type way to see the universe, and I don't even know if it's wrong. I think cats look at each other this way. I think dogs do too. I think we do too. We just can't admit it to ourselves because it's so expensive to swallow.
Well said, James. And I'll go ahead and let that stand for what we're talking about as far as the corporations and um, Rita. I see your hands raised. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Go right ahead, and then we'll probably close the meeting up after that, unless something arises. Go ahead, Rita. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that for me, cannibalism is needed as long as we do not connect to the innermost self. So it's actually a sign of disconnect, a sign of lack of compassion for the self, lack of compassion for the heart, for our own hearts, and the lack of love and nurturing, which has been perpetuated throughout generations. So we need to find ourselves back to our original true self in order to heal ourselves and our ancestors. And I understand also that in mystery schools, one of the most important teaching was to start to understand what's happening on in the subtle realms, so we do not cannibalize each other on that level even. So when it becomes, when it lowers itself to the level where we physically cannibalize each other, that is a very low state indeed. It's and for me, I see this as a as something that has happened after the fall in Atlantis, because we lost the connection to our soul. Not the connection, but we lost the soul. The soul was present with us before, as now we only have a tiny spark within us, and we need to reconstruct our connection and reconnect and build the bridge, the Antakarana bridge, back to the divine self. So that's that's the work I see that we need to do, and I think we can do it. I do believe in our potential. I do believe in humans. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rita. What an excellent way to close this meeting today.
I've got one quick thing, Cameron.
Absolutely,
This is-
James, please.
Never done this. We've never done this, but and if this doesn't take off as a something we do, that's cool too. But you may have noticed that the thumbnail we made for last episode was based on a screen capture of the group. So when we're saying goodbye, if it's fun for everybody, I'd like to do like a 2 second, screen capture opportunity. It's just if you want me to use a specific pose that I'm going to feed to Gaia to say, hey, can you draw me a thumbnail of this? Yeah, exactly, Renee. This is an opportunity to do that. So, Cameron, I don't know if you can fit this into your goodbye, but basically, it's just if you want to hold to something for 1 or 2 seconds or whatever, I'm going to try and get what I think is the best one, and this could be fun just to see how Gaia interprets these each time. So I'll just say that, Cameron. However you want to do this is fine with me. Thank you, and thanks for modding today. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. I am not photogenic when it comes to holding a pose, but that sounds great. We'll do a 2 second. That will give us a couple of seconds for a few screenshots. Before we do close and unmute and say our goodbyes, I'd like to thank Pi and Mel. You didn't speak today, but your presence is appreciated greatly. Thank you so much. Good to see you guys. With that, we'll unmute and make ourselves available.
Yeah,
That's right, guys.
maybe I'll
Thanks
do
for
a
being here.
heart.
Thank you.
Maybe.
You ready?
Oh my
I'm gonna
gosh,
do
you will
3,
bust off.
2, 1.
One.
Okay, now you can be yourself. Thank you if that was
You
awkward.
guys are
Appreciate
awesome.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what
That's right.
happens. Thanks
All
for
right, bye, guys.
playing,
Till next time.
Weekend.
Cameron.
Bye.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.